All right, this is a new fly I came up with after showing Sam Looper how to tie my bacon fly and then watching some Jerry French intruder patterns. I decided, well, let's make a intruder bacon fly. I figured I wanted to learn how to start putting these on zonker strip tails, and I came up with this. So let's show you how I make my fly. I'm going to take my intruder shank from OPST and I'm going to wedge it in there far up its wazoo as possible. I'm using this size. If you want to use smaller, you can just cut these with a pair of wire cutters. Thread's gonna be pretty basic. It's gonna be black 210 denier. I'm going to take my fire wire now. You can use intruder wire. Measure it out. I already have it pre-cut down to size. And I'm just going to wrap this up. Now you can absolutely run these through the bead or cone through the eye and back around for insurance. I'm going to tie mine about up to there. And I'm going to crank it down on the way back. If you're not putting pressure when you're cranking your thread, you're not doing yourself any good. It's about right, yep, right there. I'm going to cut this when I'm done. Next up is the zonker strip. Now I'm taking a nice soft piece of zonker, not too long. I prefer to have my zonkers cut from the whole hide rather than from just a small pack. I'm going to tie this in right about here. All right, now what I'm going to do is tie in a bump stage 1 with black peacocky Krystal Flash chenille. I haven't fished this yet. I haven't been steelhead fishing since last fall. This is basically the same ingredients that go into the bacon fly. So I would use Estaz in the bacon fly. It's the only streamer I use for trout. Maybe this is going to be the only intruder I use for steelhead. Okay, so that part is done. It's fairly simple, right? It's not rocket science. I'm going to take a nice iridescent rooster feather. I'm going to crank that down and just fill this in. Okay, so now for the pedestal of my fly, I've got this balled up. This is just black peacock diamond braid flat. The reason it's balled up is because I don't waste material when I have it pre-balled, and I can just feed it out of that. Same thing with the Krystal Flash chenille. I'm almost there. I'll tie it off right there. Now I'm going to take this and palmer up. I'm going to leave several wraps at the shoulders to give a nice collar for the marabou and the first round of flash to sit against. Now that right there is basically the bacon fly without rubber legs and without a little bit of flash that I would put under the tail. So now I'm going to take my black lateral line scale, just 2 to 3 pieces. And I'm going to tie these in just to give it a little bit of flash. I don't want this thing to be too blinged out. There's good. Now I've got my extra select marabou. I'm going to tie it in here. I've already cleaned the tip off, so I can tie it in right under there. Now when that happens, no big deal. All right. I'm going to start wrapping, making sure that none of my wraps crush the fibers of the previous wrap. I want nice, long, and webby marabou. I don't want too much marabou because I don't want this thing to be dense and not sink down. I want this to have a nice, long, lateral profile when Big Bad Steelhead is checking it out while it's swinging through the water. So I could finish the fly right there. It's pretty snazzy in my mind. But I'm going to add some Krinkle Mirror Flash in purple. This stuff's pretty cool. In one hank, you get a variety of textures and colors, all in one big hank. So I'm going to tie down about 5 to 6 on either side. Roll that over. So I am fairly happy with that now. I'm just going to add a couple of strands of Lady Amherst. And these things, they may be about $16 to $19 in a store, but they definitely last you a couple years. This one is the original one I bought when I started getting into intruders years ago. I'm going with one that's all white and black. Now this would mimic on my bacon fly the barred grizzly legs that I would be tying in. Just be careful that as you're tying these in, you're not filling up a bunch of wraps of thread. These two are stuck together nicely. Throw one on top. If I were to leave a little bit of space between that cone and the material and I couldn't push the fibers forward, I would take a little itty bitty ball of black peacock dubbing and I would fill it in. And I cut exactly 4 strands of this. Maybe this will be the first fly I throw when I'm up there. Okay, so now I'm going to pull this forward to see if it fills it in. Yeah, it does nicely. I prefer it not to have the black ostrich-y peacock fibers in there. I don't mean ostrich, I mean peacock straight up. I would be using this ice dub. All right, so I'm going to knot it now. All right, that's pretty much done. Let's take 1 drop of bone dry. And my Solar Ez battery rechargeable light. You can also put the Solar Ez when you're wrapping down your firewire. So there you go. And now I've got that little nub sticking out. I'm going to make sure that nothing else is in the way. And I'm just going to cut that off. Make sure you don't get that in your eye, kids. All right, and there we have it. It's a pretty cool looking intruder. It's the Snowhite bacon fly intruder there. I dig it. If you haven't already, subscribe to me on YouTube and we'll get some more videos up hopefully throughout the fall. Thank you.